Hey guys, Ben, aka Reading Vicariously here with another video. And since this month in February is Women in Horror Month, among many other things, I thought I would make a video just showcasing some of the female horror authors that I have either read or am currently reading or am hoping to read in the near future. So this is going to be a little bit of a longer video, although there's no way I could get through all of the authors that I want to talk about and the books I want to share. Here's a good sampling of stuff for you to hopefully explode your TBR lists. And so I thought I would just start with, some of the stuff that I am currently in the middle of reading right now. So the very first one, oh, and by the way, this is probably the first time I'm realizing as I was planning this video, this is the first time that I have said many of these authors' names out loud. And so if I mispronounce your name, I'm truly sorry for that. Sorry. So anyways, the first one I'm going to share with you guys is Cradle of Parasites, which is a book of dark poetry, and it is all based around poems based around the Black Plague, which is weird to be reading this time of the year. Sorry for the fingerprints on the cover, but yeah, it's very timely, even though, it's all centered around the Black Plague. And what I like about this, I'm about halfway through it, and I really am enjoying the poems. They're very well written. They're very dark and gruesome and very pessimistic in a lot of ways, just because it's really getting to the heart of how people felt back then. It looks at a lot of different types of people, and from all walks of life and occupations, and kind of their thoughts and feelings during that time of what was going on. And it seems to have a lot of historical kind of aspects to it. It's making me want to go and research everything about the Black Plague and things that I'm hearing. I'm not going to say much more about it because I'm going to be doing a full review later on, but I thought I might read one of the poems for you guys, actually. It's one that I read last night that just kind of struck me, and I wanted to share it with you guys. So, I'm interrupting my recommendation video to read a poem, and if you're not here for that, then just go ahead and skip on ahead, and hopefully you'll, watch the rest of the video. But I wanted to read this poem, and it is called Bills of Mortality. Down the alley and across the yard, the note is tacked for all to see. It cost only a penny to publish all these bills of mortality. Some die from consumption, others from age or grief. This week, 2 died from colic, and 1 body was found on the street. Next week, on Thursday morning, when the bill is again revealed, a cause we have not seen in years unleashes panic once concealed. The front page is a bleak reminder of the death we are propelled near. Skeletons dance around the edges, ink flaking and smeared. Beneath causes of fever and fright, above rupture, scurvy, and teeth, plague looms with growing numbers, set to increase by 1,000 next week. King Charles has fled, along with the rich, as death flourishes with obscene cravings. The poor and damned will try to leave, starving, wretched, and without savings. Certificates of health are denied, exodus morphs into condemned dread. By September, hope is lost, then burned, as the bill posts for the week, 7,000 dead. Down the alley and across the yard, there is barely anyone alive to see the note tacked against the wall, where plague rewrites our history. So there you go. There's a little taste, a little sampling of what is in store in Cradle of Parasites by Sarah Tantlinger. So the another book that I'm reading right now, which some of you guys probably have heard about. I'm a little late to the game as far as this came out towards the end of last year, I think, or at least that's when it was blowing up and everybody's reading it and raving about it and all of that. And so I'm finally getting around to reading Tinder is the Flesh by, and I apologize to any Argentinian viewers when I butcher this, it's by Agustina Baztarica, Tinder is the Flesh. And I am also about halfway through this one as well. It is super dark, super disturbing. Basically, it's set in a world where all animals have disappeared. You're not able to eat them because of a virus. And people have turned to farming humans for meat. And so it follows this main character who kind of helps run one of the processing plants for this new form of meat, of livestock, as they call it. And so, you know, it's kind of what you can expect along those lines as far as it being very disturbing. What makes it even worse to some extent is how well written it is. I mean, it's been translated, but it comes across, at least, you know, as far as I can tell, really well. And I've got a lot more to say about this one, but I'm going to save it for the actual review. But anyways, reading Tinder is the flesh. Another book I'm reading is The 5 Turns of the Wheel here by Stephanie Ellis. And this is from Silver Shamrock Publishing. And I'm only just a little bit into this one, and but it's already shaping up to be a very interesting story of folk horror and dark fantasy. And so, you know, first couple of chapters are pretty dark, and very interested to see where this goes. It's such a cool cover. Probably by Elder Lemon Designs, Keelan Patrick Burke, who does the covers for them, does a lot of good work there. Yeah, of course it is one of his covers. So cool. Anyways, so those are kind of some of the things I'm in the middle of reading right now. And then some books that I want to recommend to you guys. These are ones that I read last year. They're all 4 or 5 star, mostly 5-star reads. I'm going to go fairly quickly through them just for the sake of time. And the first is The Worm and His Kings by Haley Piper. This is from Off Limits Press. It is cosmic horror, and it's one of the better cosmic horror stories that I've read in a while, and I really, really like that genre. It follows this girl whose partner has been kidnapped by this monster that stalks the tunnels, the underground, you know, subway tunnels of New York, and she tries to go and save her partner and ends up getting involved with a cult and all this other kind of stuff. And it's really good, very well written, very dark and atmospheric and creepy and all of that. So The Worm and His Kings by Haley Piper, very good. Another one, actually from Off Limits Press, is their very first release from this publisher. It was Crossroads by Laurel Hightower. This is one I read fairly early on last year and was completely blown away by it. Another favorite subgenre, I guess, of horror is grief horror. And this is a great example of that. It's super depressing, super dark and sad, really hits you in the feels, but it's also very, very good. I could not put it down. This was a one sitting read for me. And I'm still trying to tell everybody I can about it and raving about it. So Crossroads by Laurel Hightower. And just so you guys know, I mean, Off Limits Press, they just started releasing books last year, and I know they've got a whole bunch coming out this year. These are the first 2, and they both were 5-star reads from me. So, you know, 2 for 2, Off Limits Press. Keep them on your radar because I know they're going to do a lot of good things in 2021. Another one that I read that I really enjoyed is The Midnight Lullaby by Cheryl Lowe. And this is from Grinning Skull Press. And this one was interesting. It's about a guy who comes from a family of ghost hunters. And but he doesn't himself have, you know, that special gift that allows him to communicate with all of these different ghosts and everything. There's really just one ghost that he can talk to and see, and she becomes kind of like his partner in this book, where she is helping him out, kind of live this life where he's pretending to be a ghost hunter like everybody else in his family, but he's really not. And it's only because of her, this ghost, that he's able to keep up this facade, at least for a little bit. But it was really interesting. I liked the dynamic between him and his ghost partner and kind of the adventures they have. And there are some creepy moments. There's a lot of good family drama. So really good. The Midnight Lullaby by Cheryl Lowe. Another book is Jennifer Strange by Kat Scully. Got this one for a Nightworms book party a while back. And it was billed as young adult horror, which I was very interested in and intrigued by. And just so you know, the art, you know, this cover here, and then there are other illustrations and maps and things like that kind of throughout the book as well. Oh, that was a cool one. There's like a categorizing of the different monsters and things too in it. Those are all done, I believe, by the author, by Kat. So really cool how she, was able to do all these different things. Yeah, the artwork and the writing. Anyways, really enjoyed this one a lot more than I thought I was going to, actually. I was kind of like, I don't know if it'll be good. YA horror is hit or miss a lot of times. But it was great. I got a lot of like Evil Dead vibes from it, especially the TV show, the Evil Dead TV show, and just a lot of horror mixed with just crazy, zany scenes of violence and grotesquerie. Is that a word? And demons of all different kinds and monsters and everything. So really, really enjoyed Jennifer Strange by Kat Scully. Couple more books here that I want to recommend that I've read. This one is The Night Silver River Run Red, by Christine Morgan. This is from the Splatter Western series from Death's Head Press, which if you didn't know about or you're not reading, then you should get on that. And this one, it was a lot of fun to read. It's got a lot of younger characters in it, kind of from scenes and chapters from their perspective, which was interesting. These kids, and they go out and there's like a carnival that's coming by of oddities and different characters, and they kind of sneak down and they want to see, the bearded lady and all these different characters. And then there's also at the same time, that same night, there's a roving band of misfits that comes into the town to wreak havoc. And so, all these different groups kind of collide together, and it is super violent. It is super inappropriate at times, and dark and funny, and just all those different things. And I really like that it all kind of, a lot of it, takes place over the course of one night. They'll never forget the night that Silver River run red. So definitely recommend that from Christine Morgan and Death's Head Press. Couple more here. We've got Go Down Hard by Ali Sia. This is one from Grindhouse Press, another Nightworms book party. Another one I didn't know anything about, just kind of jumped right into it and ended up reading it in one sitting because it's just that good. And it's basically about these two characters. It's a guy and a girl, Meg and Jack. They're both serial killers of a nature, but they kill for different reasons, and that's kind of explored a little bit inside the book. The book jumps back and forth, different chapters from their different perspectives, kind of alternating, which was cool. And it's actually a lot funnier than I expected, and which I really appreciated. There's a lot of really dark comedy and humor in it. Even just this, I'm going to read the very end of the description here on the back. It says, Meg isn't expecting to catch Jack red-handed with his most recent victim. Jack isn't expecting Meg to come bursting through his front door while chasing her current prey. Now that each recognizes a fellow killer, what urge will win, kiss or kill? And so there's kind of this, will they, won't they fall in love or try to kill each other of these two characters. And it's crazy where it goes, especially the explosive kind of ending, and just really, really good. A lot of fun to read. Go Down Hard. Highly recommend. Another book is actually a collection of poetry as well that I read last year, a collection of Dreamscapes, poetry by Christina Sung. And this collection of Dreamscapes, I highly recommend if you're interested in poetry, especially dark poetry, which I'm really getting more into recently. I have a more full review of this one on my blog at readingvicariously.net, where I kind of break down the different sections inside and talk about some of the specific poems, which I'm not going to do here. So I recommend go check out that review if that seems interesting to you. But it's another collection of poetry, done very well, written very well, hits a lot of different things as far as dark fantasy, science fiction, mythology and folklore, serial killers, all these kind of different fairy tales. It's broken up to several different sections. There's a lot of poems in here, which was awesome. There's a section called Fairy Tales, which is kind of where Christina puts a dark, twist and spin on different tales that you know and love, which is really interesting. There's a section about monsters, another one called The Capacity of Violence, which was really dark, but had some of my favorite ones. There's one called The Tooth Collector, which I'm not going to read for you another poem, but there's a lot of good stuff in here. Collection of Dreamscapes, and this one is from Raw Dog Screaming Press. So check that out. All right, my last one that I can for sure recommend to you that I have read is Ghost Summer Stories by Tananarive Due. And this is one that I haven't read any of her other stuff, any of her novels. This is her debut collection of short fiction, and I really, really enjoyed it. There is a variety of monsters and ghosts and things like that in this book. All the stories are super solid. This was all 5 stars. And I mean, honestly, short story collections, I hardly ever give 5 stars to, just because there's always some that are kind of, don't land quite as well. They can be hit or miss depending. This one was all 5 stars, in my opinion. I loved every single one of these stories, and we go back and read them over and over again. So Ghost Summer Stories. Check it out. All right, moving on now to books that I haven't read, but I'm excited to read hopefully this month, if not in the near future. I'm just going to throw up a couple of these, and I have a post on my Bookstagram, reading.vicariously, where I talk more about some of these different books, but just a few of them I wanted to share with you guys. Excuse me. One is called The Cipher by Kathy Koja. And this came out in 1991, and it was republished, re-released last year from Meerkat Press. And I don't really know anything about it other than people really highly recommend it. People that I respect in the book community, authors and comic book creators and the like, all really like this, say it's dark, twisted, provocative, all of that. So, I mean, sounds right up my alley. So I'm going to check that out, The Cipher. Another one that I'm excited to read is Antioch by Jessica Leonard. I showed this one in my last video when I did an unboxing of a recent Nightworms book package. And so definitely looking forward to reading this one. It says, Antioch used to be a quiet small town where nothing bad ever happened. Now 6 women have been savagely murdered. The media dubs the killer Vlad the Impaler due to the gruesome crime scenes of his victims. Clues are drying up fast, and the hunt for the monster responsible is hitting a dead end. And then there's a local bookstore seller who is convinced that she can kind of help figure this out, what's going on, and that she might be able to solve the mystery. And so we kind of follow her, assuming she doesn't also wind up abducted by this killer. So sounds great. It's a debut novel from Jessica. Very excited. Love the cover for that. All right, I'm just going to share one more with you guys that I'm excited about. And this is Those Who Came Before by J.H. Moncrief. This is from Flame Tree Press. And also heard good things about this. I believe Sadie has a blog post about it on the Nightworms blog, and that's what first got my attention. And then when I read the synopsis, it sounded really interesting. It's about an idyllic weekend camping trip being cut short when Reese Wallace's friends are brutally murdered. As the group's only survivor, Reese is the prime suspect, and his story doesn't make much sense. A disembodied voice warning him to leave the campground the night before? A strange blackened tree that gave him an electric shock? Detective Grey Eyes isn't having any of it until she hears the voice herself. Troubling visions of a doomed Native American tribe who once called the campground home, and rumors of cursed land plague the strangest murder case she has ever been a part of. So it's got a lot of mystery and intrigue and going on there, and some aspects of Native American elements to it, which I'm very intrigued by. Something along the titles, the cover there as well kind of hints at that. Those Who Came Before. Very interested to see what that's about and where that goes. So excited about this one. All right, last thing I wanted to mention to you guys, or just kind of share with you rather. And I know this video is going a little bit long, so I apologize for that. Thank you to those of you who have stuck it out this far. But basically, one other type of book or reading that I really, really enjoy are comics and graphic novels. Really big fan of those. Try to promote them as much as I can. We'll be doing more about, graphic novels on this channel as well. It being Women in Horror Month, I was like, okay, well, let me look through my collection and see what books I have by female authors. Couldn't really find any. And I don't know if that's just a reflection of my own collection, still not being diverse enough, or the reflection on that there's just not as many female writers in the comic book world. I don't know. That's something that now I'm going to be looking into. And if you guys have suggestions of ones that you know about, I would love to hear those in the comments. I mean, books in general, obviously, but specifically comics and graphic novels right now. But I did come across two that I wanted to share with you guys. And apologies, I have to reach around my camera here to grab them. And no, I'm not editing this out because, you know, ain't nobody got time for that. But anyways, one that I got for Christmas over a year ago, not this last one, the one before, is called Through the Woods by Emily Carroll. And so these are original stories that she wrote and illustrated herself. And they all are kind of, they feel like dark fairy tales. And they have, you know, I'm not going to spoil any of them for you. I want to see if I can share kind of some of the illustrations with you guys. Oh man, there's a creepy one right there. Boom. But there's 5 or 6 short stories here. And they all are very disturbing, very unsettling, and really kind of creeps me out when I read them, to be honest with you. And so highly recommend this. It's kind of Victorian Gothic elements to it as well. Just some really cool stuff in here. Through the Woods by Emily Carroll. And then the other one I was going to mention, and so this is a little bit different because she didn't write this book, but she did the art for it. So I want to give her a shout out. There's this graphic novel, Black Stars Above, that came out through Vault. Yeah, Vault is doing a Nightfall, like a horror series, basically, imprint. And so this is one that came out from there. Lonnie Nadler is the author. I really like him and all the stuff that he writes, but we're not talking about him right now. We're talking about the artist, Jenna Cha. And she just did an amazing job with this book and the art that's in here. There's some really cool stuff going on, and I know you can't see it very well because of the lighting, but the art is just, it perfectly complements the story, which is also, it's kind of like a dark cosmic horror story. Super creepy and unnerving, and the art just perfectly complements that, those different aspects and the elements and the mood and just all of that. So I wanted to give Jenna a shout out in this video as well for her art. So I've got a review for this on my Instagram, reading.vicariously, that has better, you know, pictures of what's inside if you want to go check that out. But anyways, so thank you guys for watching this. Like I said, if you got recommendations, I know there's so many other authors, so many other books that I didn't talk about. I just recently read my first Gemma Amor book, Girl on Fire, which it was a digital copy, so I don't have to show to you guys, but I did that actually a buddy read with Janine Pipe. We've been doing these buddy reads every month. So if you go to her channel, which is Janine Pipe Horror Writer, I believe, go check that out. You can see our buddy read, see my review of that there. Another great woman in horror writing. But like I said, give me some suggestions for what you are reading of female horror authors. And thank you guys for watching this, and take care.